What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pixeled Perspective podcast. My name is JJ, and I'm one of your hosts, and I'm here with my buddy Adrian, who is your other host. Say hi, Adrian.
Hi, Adrian.
It's you're dad. Okay, I'll let it slide. That's fine.
Oh
right.
man,
fair enough.
My kids give me such a hard time for all my dad jokes. Dude, it's bred into you. Whenever you become a dad, you just can't help it. You know, you got to have the clean jokes, and they're funny to me.
I'll take your word for it. No, they're funny. They make me crack up too. Man, I am really excited about today's episode. This is Final Fantasy VII. That's the whole episode. That's all we're talking about. We're talking about memories. We're talking about the demo. We're talking about the game itself. We're talking about what it did for the industry, just toe to toe, just wall to wall, everything Final Fantasy VII. Because I think to both of us, this game is a huge, huge influence and means the world to us. And this honestly could go way longer than I'm hoping it will. Because there's just so much to say, and I could gush about this game forever, and I know you could too. You know what? Why don't we start off easy, because it's been a while since you and I have actually recorded, because we tried to knock out a few episodes before I moved, and I have clearly moved. This is my room. This is not the actual game room. At this point, when this is released, you will have already seen a video of me showcasing my actual game room. But this is where I'll be recording the podcast, which is just up in my room at my desk. So as far as like the past couple of months, what have you been playing, sir?
Oh man, I was not ready for that question. I always play like a hodgepodge of different games, so I have to go back and think about what I've been playing.
Give me a little podge. Come on.
All right. So I've been playing. I'm back on Dragon Quest XI.
Nice. And
still playing a little bit of Witcher 3 here and there. What else? I started Star Wars. Oh man, what is that new game called? Drawing a blank. The new Star Wars game.
Yeah. Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order.
That's it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. That game, by the way, is really, really good. Like shockingly good. It's very reminiscent of Dark Souls.
I was just about to say I've been told it's a very, very Dark Souls-ish, so I'm not surprised you like it.
Dude, it borrows heavily from Dark Souls. It's pretty crazy how much it does. Like I had heard that before, but I thought they were just talking about the difficulty of the game, and the game is difficult, by the way. But it's not just the battle system that's similar. It's the kind of waypoint system that Dark Souls kind of created, where you get to they're kind of like meditation circles.
Yeah. And
you get there and you meditate and you can level up your character, but whenever you sit down at one, it respawns all the enemies.
Oh, cool.
So, and there's shortcuts that you can unlock, and it really borrows heavily from the Souls series, and it works surprisingly well.
Very nice.
I've also been playing, let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, just those three.
Okay.
I tend to bounce around. Like I'll play The Witcher until I'm just not in the mood for The Witcher, and then I'll go over to Dragon Quest. And I don't usually tend to stick to one game for an extended period of time. So that's my style.
I do tend to stick to one game, and I play it all the way through. I am working my way through my 2020 list, and I am almost 4 games down. I have finished Tales of Phantasia, played it on GBA. Really, really, if you like Super Nintendo RPGs, it is wonderful, wonderful game.
Good story.
It's a pretty cool story. It's almost a little Chrono Trigger-y. Not as heavy on the time traveling, but there is a fair amount of it in there. It's pretty good. Then I also beat Half-Life finally for the first time ever, because I'd never finished it before.
Is that rough going back to now?
Honestly, I was expecting it to be, but it really wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. I got through it just fine, and I did it in I think I broke it up over a weekend and knocked it out, and it was super simple. Um, so it wasn't anything crazy or daunting or anything like that. The graphics were a little rough, but honestly, like that stuff doesn't really bother me, so it was all right. Um, what else? Illusion of Gaia on Super Nintendo. Finally played my way through that. Tough game.
You beat
Not
that
as
one as
easy.
well?
I did. Yeah.
Wow, man. So 3 games in a month?
Uh, about a month. Yeah. Well, the Tales of Fantasia I had been playing for a while before. That was during my move. Because it was
Yeah.
portable, so I would like before I had anything actually set up. That was the one that I would just have with me if I wanted to take a break from unpacking or something like that. I just lay on the couch or well, I guess I didn't have my couch at that point, so I'd sit on the stairs or lay on my bed or something and play it.
Yeah.
Um, but Illusion of Gaia was very, very good. Dark in a lot of ways too. There's some moments in there where I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. Like, have you played it and beaten it?
No.
Okay.
No, I
There's
in fact any Super Nintendo JRPG I have not. I mean,
oh
I've
my God, I
played
keep
them, but I haven't
forgetting
beaten
you
any of them.
slack on the Super Nintendo. It's ridiculous. You play Final Fantasy VI already. Um,
Yeah.
I and I am currently in the middle of well, not in the middle. I'm on Route C, near Automata. I have done
Oh, okay.
I've done Route A and Route B. And I
Wow.
really the gameplay in that game is really, really fun. I don't really the side stuff really isn't for me. It's just not. I don't really care that much about the side content because it's. Eh. But the main story is actually pretty interesting, and the gameplay is so much fun. I'm having a blast with that. So I should be done with that probably this weekend when we're recording, which is we're recording on the 13th of March. So this weekend I'll be done with that, and then I wanted to be done before Animal Crossing, so I'm going to give Animal Crossing a shot. And once Animal Crossing's done, well, not done, but once I'm tapped out on Animal Crossing, that's right around when FF7 remake.
Yeah.
So
So I'm going to give you kind of a controversial hot take.
okay,
I think Near Automata is a bit overrated. I did not like it as much. I thought it was fine. I mean, I only played through one.
I wouldn't have
Time.
like. I wouldn't have given it like my game of the year for that year or anything like that. But I am enjoying just the mindless gunplay and just like hack and slash and just beating
Yeah.
the crap out of everything. That's kind of where I'm at.
That stuff is fun. I just for whatever reason it didn't really strike a chord with me. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought the world was bland, which it's supposed to be. I guess it's a post-apocalyptic world. So I don't know. Like all the praise it gets, I think is not my feeling on the game at all. Like I did not get that feeling of it. And I know people say you need to play it multiple times. Like the first playthrough is the worst playthrough. You know, the second, third playthrough is where it's really at.
It's true.
I can't pull myself to play through it again.
It's a very different experience. The second playthrough is the same storyline, but you're playing as the other character in the game, well,
Yeah.
one of the other characters, and you are seeing it from his point of view, and it's not as combat focused. You're actually hacking a lot more. So there's like mini games and stuff that you're doing, and you find out more about humanity and the history behind everything that's going on. And then the third playthrough actually takes place after all that, so it's like a continuation, and it's with a new character.
Oh,
Yeah. So
wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
It's definitely warrants more than one playthrough. It's yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, I did start the second playthrough with the guy. I can't remember his name. But
Ines.
yes, and I got just past the beginning part when you're in the ship.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, so maybe someday I'll go back to it. But
And
maybe
the subsequent playthrough, the subsequent endings and stuff are all shorter, so it's not like you're not spending tons of time all the way through.
okay.
So
That's a
I
good
personally
point.
think it is worth giving a shot if you're curious about the story, because there's a lot of meat to it that it's not explained in the first one. So
Okay.
that's that.
Good to know. I might do it. I still have it. Not the Game of the Year edition though.
I don't either. I got the regular edition for $15 about 2 days before they announced the Game of the Year edition. So I was like, oh, cool.
I
Thanks.
think that's about. I think I got mine on Black Friday one year for
Yep.
probably about that much.
We ready to talk FF7?
I think so, man. I've been pretty hyped, considering the demo was just released recently. I guess
Yep.
we should preface by saying this episode is going to come out the week the game comes out, but we're actually recording this mid-March. So
correct. But I mean, our feelings won't have changed by then.
No.
The main reason I didn't want to release it after the game came out is because this is all conjecture and like speculation. We're just kind of trying to theorize of how it's going to be and our expectations, why we're excited and all that stuff. And obviously, if we release that after the game is out, people are going to be like, "Game's out. Why are they talking about what they're expecting from it?"
Yeah.
So, first on the list, right there, Adrian. Why was FF7 such a big deal, and why is it such a big deal still to this day?
So I'm gonna speak in terms of before the game came out and the hype build up before the game came out. Why it was such a big deal. It was, to be honest, like the best looking video game I had ever seen. Not just an RPG, but video game, period. It was hyped up really heavily in magazines and on video game TV shows and stuff like that. Like everybody was talking about it well before it came out. And you knew it was a thing to be excited for. And I remember some of the magazines that I looked at, some of the first screenshots. I mean, we didn't have videos then, so we just had tiny little pictures in the magazine. And I remember looking at those pictures thinking, wow, what is this? Like, this looks amazing. Nothing looks even close to this. And I've got actually one of the magazines here, GamePro. GamePro was my magazine for much of my PlayStation days. But there is an article in here where they actually kind of review the Japanese version of the game. Here it is. So this is for the video people. Sorry, audio listeners. But I've got
awkward.
So I've got the magazine. You've got pictures here, and it's showing off, different areas of Midgar, the bosses, and Don Corneo's kind of his room. And oh man, what's that town that he lives in?
Walmart.
Remember? Yeah. And I just remember looking at those screenshots thinking, this is insane. Like before that, the only thing that I could remember that was like 2D pixel art, and I'd played some 3D games on PlayStation, but they had the really rough looking polygonal, graphics that were very early and pretty ugly for the time. Even then I remember thinking, yeah, it's kind of ugly. You knew it was kind of early stuff, but you still enjoyed it. It was the next new hot thing. And when you see Final Fantasy VII, it's like, this is so crazy. Like, how are they able to accomplish these graphics? Well, it wasn't until a little later on that I learned about the pre-rendered backgrounds and the artwork that they did for those backgrounds. The characters looked ugly. And I remember thinking that when I looked in the magazines, like, why is the background so clean and crisp and beautiful, and the characters are just
what's with these Popeye arms?
Yeah, but I still, like, my hype was so heavy for it. And I remember looking at all the artwork. One piece of artwork in particular is an artwork done. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm tripping over my words here, but it's in one of the magazines that I had, and I couldn't find it before the show. There was a picture of Cloud and I believe Eris sitting on a hill, and it was done by Yoshitaka Amano. Did I say that right?
Yoshitaka Amano, yeah.
And I remember thinking that art is amazing. Like, I'd never seen anything like that. I was more drawn to his art than anything. I was like, I have to learn more about this game. And at that time, the game was so early, that was the only kind of representation of the game that I had. So from that moment on, my hype buildup was through the roof, and I had to get any magazine that had Final Fantasy VII on it and learn about it. And it was actually my introduction into JRPGs and RPGs in general. The only reason I even started playing RPG games was because of Final Fantasy VII. I know I've told you this story before, so I'm not going to elaborate. But I remember I knew what they were talking about. This is an RPG. And I was like, I don't know what an RPG is, but I need to find an RPG to kind of get ready for this, so I know what kind of gameplay to expect. So I picked up Wild Arms in preparation because they said this is a good primer. So I remember reserving Wild Arms, and I picked that up the day it came out, and I absolutely adored it. And I finished it pretty quickly and well ahead of the release date of Final Fantasy VII. So that time in between Wild Arms and Final Fantasy VII was a pretty long wait, I would say. But yeah, I think Final Fantasy VII was a big deal because of the graphics, the next hot thing. I mean, the Final Fantasy before was 6. That was a Super Nintendo 2D game, and we're going into 3D with Final Fantasy VII.
I mean, you're 100% right. Absolutely. Totally spot on with everything you said. I am going to say, because you were not a Final Fantasy fan prior to 7, right?
Right.
Right. And I played 4 and 6, part of that, 4 being my introduction to RPGs, and 6 then becoming my favorite game of all time. So I was excited just to, be able to play the new game in the series. I knew it was coming out just from magazines and stuff like that. Same thing. And I believe you have the Game Pro that has the first walkthrough for the American version that has the big mistake in it where it says wrapping up disc 1 and it shows just the end of Midgar. It's like, yeah, they end up disc 1.
This one, yeah, it may be in this one. I know I have that one. I saw it.
It is that one because I have that one downstairs too. Yeah. But I think it hits so. I think it's such a big deal, literally because of the way you just reacted and what the story you just told about what it did for you and completely changed your idea of what gaming could be and what you went into play. It did that for thousands of people. It brought so many people into the genre. And it's awesome to see a firsthand account of somebody who had that happen to them. And to know that it happened on such a grand scale. I had people that, I didn't talk about games because I was into those weird JRPGs and stuff at the time. And people that I knew wanted to play Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and, even Madden and that kind of stuff back on Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis and whatnot. But me, I wanted my RPGs. I wanted my story and all that stuff. So when I heard those people who were into the Maddens and the Street Fighters and the Mortal Kombats and stuff start talking about this new game, Final Fantasy VII, I was like, what do you even see? Like, it was a little surreal because I was like, what the heck? But it was because of the way it looked, because it was so far ahead of everything else, because they pushed it. They had TV commercials. They did. Anybody who's younger, who wasn't around for back then, who saw what they did with Final Fantasy 15, they were kind of trying to replicate that when that game came out. They were kind of trying to replicate the reception that 7 got. And I think there's an argument to be made that they somewhat did. I'm not going to say it had the same effect as far as impact and change the face of gaming like it did, but I think it did succeed in bringing a lot more people to the series and getting them on board to play those games. But FF7 literally brought people who would not have otherwise played these story-focused games into that sector of gaming, and basically made RPGs like a cool thing. Maybe not as cool as I would have liked, because I was still like, I would be like, oh, if you like that one, you should try the older one. And the people would just be like, those look like crap, dude. No, go away. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, at least you like this one. So it was absolutely mind blowing. And I think we kind of touched a little bit on what our second point was going to be with this episode, was that our first experience with the game. And you kind of just mentioned how you had that you tried Wild Arms first after you saw the screenshots because you were drooling over wanting to play it and you needed something similar to get into it. I think that's so cool that you were so focused on this one game that you were trying to get any taste that you could. So you just try to play this other game. And Wild Arms is a great game. Like you can't go wrong with
Yeah,
something
definitely,
like
man.
that to tie you over.
The hype
I
train was full force back then. I mean, it
Yeah,
hit me heavy. I mean, for
yeah,
somebody who's never
absolutely.
experienced that type of game before, so it definitely hit me.
I
Um,
had to wait, and I'm sure I've told this story plenty of times too, but I had to wait a long time for my copy. Not that long, but like it seemed like everybody and their mom had gotten the game before I did, and it wasn't
yeah,
until Christmas when I was desperate and asked my buddy to borrow his. I was like, let me just borrow your disc one. Come on, I don't even need a memory card. I just want the game. Come on, like, and he let me borrow it, and then I got home, and my aunt in Florida had sent me the game, so I had it. So I had to call them and be like, "Hey, you want your game back? I actually have it." I mean, I played it at other people's houses so many times before I actually owned it. I must have started it at least 6 times before I
yeah,
actually got to play my own save file, and I loved it. I didn't get very far. I got past Midgar once, and that was blew me away. And of course, once my buddy, who had not gotten that far but owned the game, saw that I had done that, it was a big spoiler for him, and he was like, no, don't play anymore. I was like, oh, but dude, it's the world map. Come on, man. And he wouldn't let me play anymore after that because I had gotten farther than him, and he was not happy about that. So, uh, but yeah, I mean, you really had to be there to feel how, like, no matter how much we gush about it, no matter how much you see articles about it, no matter how many videos you watch when they announce the remake, and you see people literally crying tears of joy and like getting so into it because the game means so much to them, unless you were there, it's really impossible to put into words, in my opinion, as to that feeling. It's
right.
and I'm not saying that's impossible to get with something else. Like I'm sure there's plenty of other games that people love and stuff like that. But to have something like this, that this many people shared on that level, that loved something that much together, that's to me why it was so special, and that it was so unexpected. That it kind of came out of left field, and people were like, very few people were like me who were like, yeah, RPGs are great. Can't wait for Final Fantasy VII.
Oh
Um,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and then just to
I
have
didn't
so
know
many people
anybody
get on.
who was into RPGs at the time. It's the reason I'd never played them. But I would say that Final Fantasy VII kind of kicked off an RPG or JRPG kind of like movement, I guess, where it became the hot popular thing. Uh, I think I would argue that the PlayStation generation, the original PlayStation generation, was more into JRPGs than the Super Nintendo
Oh, I would
generation.
I would agree with that 100%.
Okay,
Personally,
uh,
no, but I think as a whole, yes,
yeah,
I would agree.
and I think that's all because of Final Fantasy VII.
Yep, I would definitely agree
It
with
would
that.
not have had the impact. People wouldn't be clamoring for more if it wasn't for Final Fantasy VII, and it had that huge of an impact on people. Because even when it did come out, it was graphically, it was leaps and bounds above anything else I'd seen up until that point.
Hmm.
And it was just amazing. Um, but I mean, like my first experience with the game is like I remember reserving the game. I believe it was at Sears at the mall. Um, Sears, believe it or not, used to sell video games. Do you remember that?
I don't think I mean I know you're right, but I don't think I ever bought games at Sears.
Well, whenever we would go to the mall, I would, if my mom needed to go do some shopping or whatever, I'd just have her leave me in Sears because they would have demo kiosks for Super
Yeah.
Nintendo and Sega Genesis and things like that. And so I would just stay there and play. I remember specifically playing like Donkey Kong Country 3 there. And I remember wanting to play Final Fantasy VII. So I put in my reservation there for the game. And one of the big, they had a pre-order bonus, I guess. This is pre GameStop days too. At least for me, there wasn't a GameStop then.
Yeah.
Um, they had a T-shirt, And I can remember this T-shirt. It was like a white T-shirt, and it just had a picture of Cloud on the front of it, holding his sword and his kind of behind
Yep.
his back, I think. And I was super excited to get that shirt. And so when I got the game, I picked up that shirt, and I remember wearing it all the time, but I have no idea what happened to it. And I kind of wish I could.
Probably wore it out.
I know I did. I know I did. I remember wearing it under my pads. You know,
You probably
I'd
still
worn
own it. It's just a white T-shirt now, though, because everything else is faded off.
Yes, yeah. It was a poor print quality. I do remember that, but it was a nice shirt, and um, yeah, I would wear it under my pads when I played football in middle school. But that was
Oh,
after it already stained the hell out of it and
yeah.
everything. So it was just a trash shirt after that. But I do remember that shirt. Um, but yeah, I went and bought it and could not wait to get home and play it. And I remember that first opening sequence with the train going through Midgar
Hmm.
and Eris kneeling down praying. She's got her flowers and the music behind it. It was just
Yeah. Oh,
it
yeah.
was so like moving. I don't know how else to describe it. Like all the months in the year leading up to that release was so rewarding when I finally got to play it. And I think from the very first moment before I even took control of my character, I was already like, I don't know, like I'd already felt rewarded for that patience. Like
Sure.
this was everything that I hoped it would be and more. And I haven't even played it yet. So um, yeah, that was kind of my first experience with the game, and I remember already being accustomed to uh, that battle system, that JRPGs do, the active time battle. Um, because of Wild Arms,
Because well,
I
yeah.
already knew how to do that. So I felt like I could just jump into this and go. And I felt like a seasoned JRPG person by that point, even though I'd only played one. Um, but I was excited, man. It was huge.
Yeah, and it's still. I mean, it's still. People obviously make a massive deal out of it to this day. I God, I honestly like. I did the same thing when I played the demo that I did when I first played Final Fantasy VII, and that was right when it kicked on. Music played. I literally just sat back in my chair, closed my eyes, and listened to it. I did the same thing when I first played the original game, um,
Yeah.
and I just because that music is absolutely gorgeous. Um, and God, like I said, I played the first area so many times before I actually got the game. And I pretty much can do Midgar in my sleep at this point. It'll be interesting to see all the new stuff because I play now, and even just a casual playthrough, I'm done with Midgar in 2.5 hours.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
2.5 to 3 hours. Yeah, I mean I know it like the back of my hand because I have done that part of the game so many times. And I still never gets old. I'm actually going to be doing I don't know if I'll finish it, but there's that FF7 material lockdown on Twitter that you can do. I don't know if you've seen that, but basically
No,
like
I haven't.
you know what the 4-job fiesta is for Final Fantasy V?
No.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, Adrian! Ah! So the 4-job fiesta has been going along around for a long time. Basically, it's a Twitter thing, and it's for charity. And you basically just enter it in by typing out a command and tweeting at this automated account, and it assigns you jobs that you can use throughout the game, and you're only limited to those jobs, and you have to beat the game with those jobs. So it's just a challenge for people who want a little bit more to play through the game. And then FF7 Material Lockdown is a similar thing, but it creates jobs for you. So like my first job that I got on this one was Dragoon, and that means that Cloud is my first character, so he's my Dragoon. He can only use red and yellow materia, and that's it, and attack and whatnot. And then it assigns as you get characters, you tweet back at them, and you can unlock other jobs from whatever they assign to you. So like black mage would be all green magic, or white mage would be green and I think like purple or something like that. And like it's pretty cool. Yeah. So it's
That's really interesting. That is really cool.
yeah, if you want a little extra challenge or something like that, it's pretty neat thing to do.
Yeah.
Literally, if you
Huh.
just go to FF7 material lockdown, you do go Google search for that and you'll find it. Um, so okay, why don't we get into the game itself? Because I think we've talked about the touchy feelies quite a bit.
I
So
got one more story that just
oh
came
yeah,
to mind. It's a
by all
quick
means.
one. So I remember I played through the game entirely and I loved it, and I immediately went back and played it again. And when I played it again, this time I had a Walkman, like a CD Discman Walkman,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my favorite bands at that time was a band called Folds Andura, and I'm sure nobody's ever heard of them, but it was a band that I was totally into, and they had kind of a unique sound, kind of a spacey, kind of weird mixed. It was like electronic sounds mixed with like a live band,
Sure,
guitars, drums, things like that. I can't really explain it other than it seemed to match the Final Fantasy world, the setting of Final Fantasy VII to me. Like that type of music matched to me. So I would put that music on in my headphones while playing through it on my second playthrough. So Final Fantasy VII to me, like there are some areas that I get to and I can remember the songs that I played from Fold Zandura on that, and it takes me back there. So to me,
cool.
Final Fantasy VII kind of has two different soundtracks, and it's really cool. I
That's
haven't
pretty
done
neat.
that since. That's kind of one of those things that I did then because I was huge into that band, but I've never done it since. It's
I
just
imagine if you go back and listen to that band's music now, it would probably make you think of FF7 too.
oh, it does. Yeah, I will jump in and listen to them every now and then, and it absolutely does every time. Like I
Cool.
can certain spots in a song, I can imagine specific events that happen in the
Right.
game. It's so weird.
That's pretty neat. All right. So, story overview. What the heck is Final Fantasy VII about, man? You want to do this? You want me to do it?
Okay, yes, I'm gonna let you do it because I
Okay.
remember kind of the gist of the story,
Sure.
but not. I remember when I first played it, it was confusing to me. The story was overall pretty confusing
It
to me.
can be. Um, so it's going to be interesting how the remake plays out because everybody might have this assumption, and I have no idea if this is the case because they're going to be padding the story with a whole bunch of extra stuff. So they may actually go into what the real story is. But in the original, when you're going through Midgar, which is a big like just high tech city, that is the first, like I would say for a normal playthrough, like maybe 5 to 6 hours, depending on how much you explore and that kind of stuff. Um, and it's pretty linear. You're just going through the city and you're doing these side things, meeting these characters. And the whole point, like the game starts out, you are a mercenary who's been hired by a terrorist organization who is going to blow up a reactor that is stealing the lifeblood of the planet. They are basically trying to, what they say is save the planet from basically having its energy drained, so that it doesn't die. And so they're going to blow up this reactor and stop this mega corporation called Shinra. So you, very beginning of the game, that's what you do. You take that out. Kind of goes a little from there. You learn a little bit more about the Resistance members. Barrett, Tifa, Cloud is who you play as. He's the main character. You then meet up with a girl named Eris, who you mentioned earlier, who was in the opening cutscene, who is a flower girl from the slums. And you find out that the Shinra has actually been after her for a long time. You find that out because she is the last living descendant of a long line of people called, they're called ancients or the Cetra, depending on who you talk to and whatnot. But they are basically like just an ancient race of people who were very in tune with the planet itself and can hear it, talk to spirits of the dead, and very I would say almost like Native American kind of thing. Just very very in tune with the planet itself. And so she kind of joins up with them as well, and Avalanche is what you call yourself. and you go through. Eventually, some other things happen. You infiltrate Shinra's base, and you all along you're hearing about this other guy named Sephiroth, who is a lot of people will still say he's like the best video game villain ever. I think he's cool. I don't know that he's the best video game villain ever, personally. I don't hate me for that. I think he's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I never thought he was like Kefka's my guy. He's just pure evil, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. And for some reason, I like that. So I don't know. He's just a bad dude.
I do have some opinions on Sephiroth, but I'll let you finish.
Okay. So you keep hearing his name. You keep hearing about how amazing of a warrior he is and how badass of a soldier he was. And he worked for the Shinra, but he, became a deserter and nobody knows what happened to him. Cloud says he was killed. But once you infiltrate the Shinra headquarters, you find out that may not be the case. So a few other things happen. You end up getting out of Midgar finally after meeting another character, Red 13, who is like a cat-dog hybrid kind of thing, who is also one of the last of his kind, who's also a really cool character, by the way. So you all leave the city. That right there is actually what the remake is supposed to entail, just that whole first part. So that's kind of why I'm like a little iffy on how much they're going to lead into the Sephiroth stuff, because all of Midgar is basically just you versus the Shinra. It's just a big intro to the game. That's it.
Yeah.
Once you get to that very end, you learn Sephiroth is alive. Cloud thought he was dead. What the heck is going on? You immediately go to another town and you find out all about Cloud's past, and how he fought Sephiroth, but for some reason didn't kill him. But he was like, I survived, so he must have died or something, right? This is weird. We got to find him to find out what's going on. And so the game becomes a journey to find him and settle the score. Along the way, you meet other people, Yuffie, Vincent, Sid, Kate Sith, or Ketshi, I believe is how he's actually pronounced. The characters are so diverse.
I've never heard that before.
You have the guide that says it.
I don't think I've ever interpreted
the
it that way.
guide.
It's always just been Kate Sith to me.
Yeah, I think that's the way the Japanese pronunciation of it is Ketshi. In the versus guide that you have, they actually mentions that in there. I've always said Kate Sith just because it's easier to read it that way as an American. So, but I believe the official pronunciation is Ketshi. And there's once you get out of Midgar is when the game just opens up, because you have been confined to this city, this small space. And then as soon as you step out of those gates, the world just opens up and you are literally on this giant map where you can go anywhere. And it's like, okay, so this is bigger than I thought it was going to be. So for them to say that they're squeezing that whole first section into like a 50-hour game, there's going to be some extra stuff in there, and I'm super excited to check that out.
They're only going to be able to flesh out that whole story, and I found the Midgar section to be the most interesting section of the entire game. So I'm all about learning more, or fleshing that world out a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot more with the other members of Avalanche. Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, who are not with you for the remainder of the game, but are in that initial section. I believe you're going to get a lot more for them. I don't know if they're going to be like playable party members. I think that would be really cool if they did that. I just don't know if that'll be the case. But they are, I'm almost positive they did say they're going to at least have some more interactions and some more scenes with them to get to know them a lot better. And it only makes sense if you're going to pad the game that much. So it's super exciting to see them pad that out. The whole game just basically becomes about, you find out Sephiroth believes himself to be an ancient as well, or at least like somewhat of an ancient, and because he feels that the rest of the world betrayed those people, that he needs to pay them back by destroying the planet with a giant meteor. So he's going to summon it and blow up the world. And I'll be honest with you, one thing that's always bugged me is that when you beat the game at the very end, turns out nothing you did even mattered. So it's kind of like, what the heck, man? But it's about the journey. It's not about the beginning or the end. So,
It's
or I guess
absolutely about the journey.
in this case, it's about the beginning because that's what this whole new remake is going to be. So,
Some of the most standout parts of Final Fantasy VII to me were all the twists and turns that the story takes, all the character
yep,
arcs and things. There's a lot of um, there's a lot of things in that game that shocked me for the
yep,
time. I'd never seen it before in a game, and and honestly, the ending, other than the ending cutscene, the cutscene was really cool. But like the end boss fight, like I didn't really feel rewarded when I completed the game. I didn't think the ending was all that special.
yeah.
But like all of the stuff that happened up until that point were so amazing and just so good. Like I don't know how else to describe it.
No, absolutely.
All the twists, there's two major twists that I remember specifically that really blew me away,
One of the things that the Final Fantasy series in general does very well is, yes, you have an overall story, and you could make the argument this is JRPGs or RPGs in general. You have a supporting cast for your main party, but they each get their moment in the spotlight. They all have their own section of the game where they're going to be the quote main character. Like when you go to Coral Barrett, he is like the center of attention, and he is the reason you have to go through there, and he's the reason you're able to get out. And it's because of what happens in his past. You find out why he's missing an arm, and it's just a gun there. Red 13, you go to Cosmo Canyon, you find out about his past and what happened with his father and what he really thought about his father, but then he finds out the truth. There's so many of these little side things, even like Yuffie and Vincent, who are hidden characters that you don't have to get. They have their own side sections. If you get them
Yeah.
and you're able to do that, you can go and absolutely, like, Yuffie's is one of my favorite in the game, climbing the pagoda. I love that whole section. And then she like yells at her dad at the end, like, you used to be proud warriors and now you're just sitting here. Like, come on, man. Like, just because you lost, it doesn't mean you have to sit around doing that. Like, it's go play it. It's so good.
Yeah.
But it's
Other
stuff
than
like that.
other than her taking your materia, that was the most frustrating part.
Yeah, it is a little annoying. It's although if you buy a bunch of extra materia, she only takes a certain amount, so there's a chance you could have some left over and still have some. Not that it'll
Oh,
be a huge
really?
help.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that
she only
either.
takes a specific amount. But I love all those little side missions and stuff. That's easily some of the best stuff in the game, hands down. And then
Yeah, for sure.
you get a couple of those and you go back to the main story and you're following Sephiroth again, and you go back to somebody else's side thing, and it's great. It really is. It's fantastic.
So, I wanted to talk. I mean, I don't really consider Sephiroth to be like a. He's not a favorite villain of mine. Um, and actually, I don't really like him as a character in the game anyway. He seems so one dimensional to me, and
I wonder if he didn't have that scene where he turns around in the fire, if people wouldn't like, if that would have like lessened how popular he was. Because when that scene
yeah, I
first
mean,
happened, like when that came out, that was like the scene. Everybody was like, "Dude, he's so badass! Oh my
yeah.
god!"
Or the scene when he rips the mother up out of the
Yeah,
machine or whatever.
yep,
Yeah, he does have some cool scenes, but like the development of his character, like he and Cloud are really really similar in how kind of one dimensional they are.
sure,
Well, Cloud has a little bit more going on, but you find out later it's really not Cloud. I don't know. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but
yeah,
that's just it's so good. But Sephiroth, he has a goal and he's going to accomplish that goal. He doesn't really come off as being a bad guy. He's just a guy who's like, don't get in my way. This is what I'm doing. Stay out of my way. He's
yeah.
just so focused on that one thing. And I guess that's what creates him. I guess it makes him more of a believable bad guy, I guess, in that sense. More so than I think Kefka. I don't know much about Kefka, but I do know that Kefka is just just a bad person, with no real
Mhm.
logic behind why he's bad. I could be wrong. I don't know.
There
But
there
that's just
is
what I've
there
heard.
is one little blurb in Final Fantasy VI, and it tells you all you need to know about Kefka. So just a little side tangent here. A big part of FF6 is uh, Magitech infusion, which is basically like you kill an Esper to take its magical essence, and then you basically infuse a person with them to give that person those magical abilities. Kefka was, you find out from one little guard who just happens to be in this one little town, who says long ago there was this guy who happened to be a Magitech Knight. He was one of the first that we tested out, and that was before we perfected the procedure. And he went insane. He went crazy. The procedure didn't take, and he lost his mind. We keep him around, but yeah, I mean that's like all it says. And so and that's all you really need to know. Like once you play FF6, you'll just be like, because there are other villains in that game, but he is the main bad guy, and it's kind of like you're focused on everybody else, and then he just comes in and he's like, I don't care, die, and that's it. And it's like, whoa. So
Well, in
anyways,
in seven, I felt like the better bad guy was Shinra. I mean, they're the kind of the constant throughout. And the one I was always more concerned about Shinra and what they were doing than I was about Sephiroth. He just seemed to be like, we need to have a bad guy, not a bad company, So let's have him in here.
no, and
It just complicated the plot.
I think you're justified in thinking that, because when the whole beginning, you don't even really start thinking of him as like evil or anything like that, other than like the whole Cloud's past thing. But he doesn't do anything until he flat out attacks you on
Yeah,
the ship going from Junin. So it's kind of like he's there, but it's that lack of acknowledgement. Like he doesn't even really care who you are. That
right.
actually does. I did want to touch on something, because I think there's another show that I watch / listen to called Resonant Arc, formerly Dark Pixel, who brought up a great point when it comes to FF7 and its storytelling. A lot of times when you get that exposition of like, here's what happened, and this guy's really strong and really badass, you just kind of have to take the word for it of the storyteller. So like leading up to all through Midgar and beginning of that up until Cloud's past, you're hearing about Sephiroth, and that he was just this like, oh my gosh, he's famous because he's so strong and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, so he's a famous guy and he's really strong. That's all you have to go on.
Yeah,
When you do Cloud's past, though, the game puts him in your party, and Cloud is at level, I think, 1, and Sephiroth is like level 50, and you're fighting these big monsters, and Cloud gets taken out like that, one hit. Sephiroth will revive you, while with the other hand, like taking these things down, doing 10,000 damage at a time, just taking these things out, no problem. And it literally shows you how strong he is, and it doesn't just tell you. So you're just like, oh my god, what is this guy? He's a mutant, what the heck? And the game like physically shows you this is how powerful this guy is, so you see it for yourself. And I always thought that was a really really cool thing to point out, because the storytelling is a lot more involved that way, rather than just being like, this guy's really strong, watch out for him, and that's that.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a good way to put it. You do get to see they do a little bit more character development with him, but you never really understand, or I never really understood his story or where he was coming from. I just knew him as being this overly powerful badass, that was,
Sure.
just there. Um, yeah, I never really thought of him as being a threat. I was like, I always knew like, I'm gonna get stronger and I'm gonna take you out. Like I'm gonna be stronger than you. Almost like a Dragon Ball Z type of situation. I'm gonna out train you and
Sure.
be more powerful. But I was always more pissed off at Shinra. I was more pissed off at the Turks. They were always doing something to to stop me in some sort of way throughout the game.
See, but the Turks
And
weren't villains, that's the thing. Like they actually were decent guys.
when I okay, so I just remember,
And a
yeah,
girl.
yeah. Um, I just remember that they were always in the way, and maybe that
Yeah,
stems from the beginning when they were when you first meet Eris and the Turks are there and they're trying to take her, and
sure.
that was frustrating to me too. I was like,
The
don't.
Turks are basically like Team Rocket from Pokemon. Like, if you ever watch the Pokemon cartoon, Team Rocket is like they're the annoying bad guys who get in the way all the time, and they just never shut up, and they always like
Yeah,
just get in the way of the main character, and it's like, oh my gosh, I wish these guys would go away. But every now and then, something really bad will happen, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, okay, we have to work together to take these guys out, and they'll do what's right.
yeah,
That's kind of how the Turks are too.
yeah. Uh, Shinra, on the other hand,
No, Shinra's just bad.
yeah, Hojo, that dude. Yeah, I didn't like him at all. It was it's Hojo, right? He was the
Yep,
one who um, he's like the scientist,
correct.
and he created Red 13, I believe, or not created, but tracked Red 13 to do all the studies and things on him. I don't know. Like, I like Sephiroth. I think he's a cool character. I just don't think he's a great villain. And that's what's great about Final Fantasy VII, though. Like, you're not just going after one person. You feel like I felt like it was on a grander scale. Like I'm after a lot more than just Sephiroth. You know, it's
Sure.
the story is so big. I remember thinking when I played it originally, thinking well, this story is like I've
It's
never
very
played a
broad.
game with so much going on. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I enjoyed it for that for sure, and it
yeah,
stuck with me. It still sticks with me.
for sure. So what were your initial thoughts when you heard they were remaking it?
So remake has been thrown around for 15 years, man.
Yeah,
They've been talking about it for so long. I was just thinking it's just never going to happen. You know, you remember that E3 one year when they showed off that tech demo of the train sequence.
for PS3.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and it was all it was just a tech demo, and it got everybody excited for pretty much no reason. They had no plans of remaking the game, at least not in that time. And it was just it was a tease. I was like, man, I need it. Just make it, do it already. I wanted to see, but I always knew that it was going to be a huge undertaking because the game is so massive. Like,
yep,
there's not a lot of modern games that I think take on as much um, as that game does. I mean, you've got the whole world that you have to explore. You've got all these different varying towns that are look and feel different. You got all these different characters, huge story that you got to keep up with, and it's just I just knew that it was going to be a massive undertaking, and I just assumed that it was never going to happen. So when they finally did get announced that it is actually going to happen, man, I was so hyped for it. Still am. Um, the hype really hasn't died down for me since they announced it 3 or 4 years ago, whenever that was. Um, they're taking their time, and it's frustrating, but I would rather have a polished game than something thrown together. So
agreed.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that was the main thing we were, most fans were afraid of was that they were going to rush it or not put the care into it that it deserved because it is, like we described it, it's something that means the world to a lot of people. Like I said, you go to YouTube, you just type in Final Fantasy VII Remake announcement reaction, you'll find compilations of so many people like just crying their eyes out because they're so happy because they
yeah,
genuinely love it. It's something that means the world to a lot of people. And it really is something that needs to be handled with care. Um, I think there's an argument, yes, to be made to where you just, you know, the old one's still there. Nothing's going to change that. So even if this one's garbage, doesn't matter. Doesn't change what the original is. Still, you want to see your game have the love that it deserves. So
right.
I had the same kind of reaction you did. I was excited, and I'm still stoked. I'm even more so excited after playing the demo. But I was also hesitant because I was just kind of like, I'm excited for this, but man, I my fear was that they're going to do it and then people are going to come in having never played the original, and then because it wasn't done right, they end up hating it and they're like, oh my god, this game Final Fantasy VII is terrible, it sucks. It's like, oh, but you only got the bad version. Like, play the original, man. Come on. And they don't want to go
Yeah.
back because it doesn't hold up the greatest graphically. That was my fear. But I think
Yeah.
with this demo, they've really really shown that they do care. So I'm excited for that.
They do. And the demo was really cool. Like, I don't know if we want to go ahead and start talking about the
Yeah,
demo yet.
absolutely.
Okay. So the demo was something that I really enjoyed. I don't know how to say this. Like, the hype and the hype train and everything. Like, I was totally engrossed in the demo. I played it 3 times, and I'm in love with it. But I can't help but feel like it doesn't really feel Final Fantasy VII to me. It feels like I've got my Final Fantasy VII world and characters, but because the gameplay doesn't fit or match up as much,
Sure.
it doesn't hold the same weight, I guess. Like, it almost feels uh like whenever Crisis Core came out on the PSP, where that was set in the Final Fantasy VII world, but it didn't quite feel like Final Fantasy VII, and that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from this game. And it's by no means like deterring my excitement or anything. Like, I still want to play this game, and I'm super stoked for it. But I mean, that is kind of like the one little thing that I'm a little bit disappointed about. It just, and maybe it's just because I'm not going to be able to get that first time experience back again. Maybe I'm expecting to have that again, but I don't know. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of a traditional battle system. I do love swinging Cloud's Buster Sword. I mean, that's fun. It is, but the micromanaging while swinging the sword it's a little bit. It feels like it's trying to do 2 things, where I feel like it should do one or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be an action game, be an action game. If you're going to be a menu type game, like a traditional JRPG, do that. This hybrid, I don't know how much I like it. And it's the same way with Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts does the battle system almost identically, and I never really was a huge fan of the Kingdom Hearts battle system. So, but I mean, all that being said, I feel like I'm being harsh on the demo, and I'm not meaning to. It's just I still really enjoyed it. The game looks amazing, and I feel like they've nailed the characters and their characteristics really well. Cloud still has that kind of nonchalantness about him, where he's just there.
Yeah.
Barrett has that attitude that I remember Barrett having so much from the first game, at least in that portion of the game.
Yep.
And
the banter is great.
It really is. It really is. And I like that they are giving more kind of screen time for Jesse Biggs and what's the other guy?
Wedge.
Wedge. Yeah. They're giving more screen time to them and allowing them to flesh out a little bit more, which is nice. Wedge is annoying, though. I don't like Wedge. Yeah, he annoyed me a little bit in the game. But I'm excited. I do know that when I finished the demo, I didn't want to stop playing. I wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's why I started and played it through. Immediately, I played it through again. And we were talking, and I guess I didn't try out the classic mode. And so I went back and tried it again for the 3rd time to try out the classic mode. And the classic mode is pretty disappointing to me. It doesn't feel like a classic mode to me. It just feels like the only difference is that Cloud or your characters will automatically attack while you wait for the ATB bar to fill, and then you give a command and he'll execute that command. And it just doesn't work. It's like, well, if you're already just going to play the game, if you're just going to push the button for me, then I'll just push the button myself. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What was your take on it?
I still haven't tried classic mode yet. I've only done normal. I liked it though. I think it was very, very well done. As far as I agree with you that I would have preferred, like, I honestly, for me, a perfect remake would have just been like updated graphics, keep everything else the same, done. That's it. I would have been more than happy with that. But I understand they wanted to bring in new fans and update
Yeah.
things and make it a little more modern. I totally get that. And I'm excited we're gonna get more story out of it too. Um, I I really think they did the best they could trying to combine the two styles though. The action and then, trying to still keep the spirit of the original in there as well.
Hmm.
Um, I think I disagree that it's a lot like Kingdom Hearts. I think it's similar-ish in that it's like action and then you've got some menu commands. But Kingdom Hearts meshes the two a lot more so. But you also don't need to do either one, or you don't need to use the menu commands necessarily. I pretty much beat the Hearts games without hardly ever using any magic unless I really had to. It was all physical attacks, and that was it. And in
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 3, I used the special attacks that they had and stuff. I never used the summons or anything like that. I just didn't care, and I didn't really had no interest. Um, but this one, I think it's almost necessary. You have to do a combination of both. So I will try out Classic. I do want to see how that goes. But a lot of people are comparing it to 13, and which I get because the stagger system is back. I hated the combat in 13. A lot of people loved it. But I was not a fan of it at all. Being, that might just be because I'm an old school fan of the series. So I enjoyed it, but is it what I would have personally chosen in the beginning? No. But I understand the mass appeal that they're going for. So I get it, and I think they did a great job with what they had and what they were going for. So
It still feels good. Like the battle
yeah,
system, it works and it feels good. It does feel good to swing that sword, but it also like trying. I had some problems with the demo, and maybe this will smooth itself out when the game comes out. But switching between characters, I never quite saw a reason other than if there's a character or an enemy out of reach, then you probably should use Barrett, and then also like going and trying to use a potion or something or a heal, and I'm switching between characters, and that option would be grayed out, and I couldn't figure out why. And it wasn't until later that I realized you got to wait for that bar to fill up before you can use that item. And it just it's like, well, I need to use a potion now. I'm about to die, So that was
yeah,
a little bit frustrating. It's definitely a lot more fast paced than the original series or the original game. Um, the other thing I wasn't big on was I felt like the battles are too long,
agreed.
especially that boss battle. That boss
Yeah,
battle went way too long.
agreed.
Even the regular enemies, like the what was it? Like all the soldiers and stuff, those were easy enough. I'm fine with that. But
Yeah,
that robot in the middle, oh man, what was it? Do you remember the big robot? It was almost like a mini boss in a
I know what
way.
you're talking about. Yeah.
And that lasted too long. And then when you're running out of the reactor and you have to fight two of them at the same time, and I was like, oh man, I just finished a big boss battle. I don't want to do this again. But maybe when you get stronger and you learn how to utilize your materia and your spells a little bit more, maybe those times will be decreased a little bit. But I think it's a little bit too drawn out.
Yeah,
I do like the fact that they added items everywhere. Like it gives you a reason to go off the path just a little bit to see if you can find a treasure chest or break some boxes for items. I had fun doing that. I enjoyed the running through the lasers, adding different gameplay elements like that to kind of mix it up where you're not just running from point A to point B. I appreciate things like that.
yeah, for sure. Cool. I mean, that's pretty much all I got. I'm super excited for the remake. I can't wait to actually try it out. I'm sure I'll do a video on it or something. I'm sure we'll talk about it in a future episode as well, a little bit. Probably won't do like a full dedicated episode to it. Maybe we will. I don't know. Whatever we feel like doing.
Yeah,
But
it
we'll definitely
depends on
talk about it for sure.
it, how much of an impact it makes on us, and I'm really hoping
Yeah.
it makes a big impact. There's so many parts in Midgar that happen that I really want to see, but like the biggest plot twists and story arcs happen after Midgar. So
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that we do get, part 2 and part 3 or however many parts they are planning on doing with this. I want to get the full story. Midgar is only just a tiny fraction of that story, and um, I'm glad that we're getting anything at all, and I'm happy for that. But I really, really hope to see this, through to the end.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they will. I mean, I know they know. There's some major things that happen after Midgar, and they've got to re-explore those areas. Not to mention the extra characters. You only get half of your party in Midgar. Everybody
Right.
else is found out outside of Midgar. So we definitely want to see those characters again.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I really am. I can't wait to play it. I've already blocked off April. That is the month for Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, and then I'll play Resident Evil 3 remake after that.
There you go. There you go. I think I'm probably going to be, once I get done with it, depending on how the gameplay is, if it's like too much hack and slash and block and all that stuff, I may hold off on Dark Souls until I do a palate cleanser. But I'm Dark Souls I'm looking to get into pretty soon. So
Cool. Yeah. I'm ready to jump in. Definitely.
all right. So yeah, I mean, what, like we said, when this comes out, there's still about a week before the actual game comes out. Pick up the original. It's on a bajillion different platforms. Try it out. Just play through Midgar. Get that
So,
first, get in there, learn what the game's about.
did you reserve the deluxe edition?
I've got the big one, Soldier First
The
Class
one
one.
with the statue?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, I'm so jealous. I wanted that so bad. Yeah, I want that statue, man. I've got perfect place for it, maybe. I've got so much crap in here. But yeah, that statue looks awesome. I really, really want it.
I was asked to do an unboxing of it when I get it, but I've done one unboxing video on my channel and I hated doing it.
You're gonna
I
have to
just
do
thought
it, man.
was,
I don't think there's gonna be that many people who have that statue. When I went to get it, it was already sold out. So I didn't get it.
It didn't sell out anywhere near as quick as, and I don't know, maybe they had more copies or something, but like Final Fantasy 15, their special edition sold out in like 15 minutes. This one was up for a couple of days.
Yeah. And I didn't have the money at the time, and I didn't know if they take the money out when you order it or if it comes when it comes out.
No,
Isn't it like $300?
Yeah, 350, something like that, 320. They actually just took the money out of most people's accounts, I think beginning of March.
Okay.
So
yeah, I can't wait to see it. I want to see how big it is, and it looks cool, man. It looks really cool.
I'm excited.
I got to show this off since we're talking Final Fantasy VII.
There you go. Check that out, audio listeners.
Hello. There we go. Look at that tattoo, audio listeners. Appreciate that. What
Here,
it
now I'm
is?
showing mine.
Oh man,
yeah.
when did you get that?
Oh man, I got the other day. I was at the tattoo store, and the drawer guy gave me the tattoo. I don't have a tattoo. I don't have any at all. Nothing.
The drawer guy. I'm going to be referred to as the drawer guy from now on.
You are a drawer guy.
I am, and I like that title. I'm going to have to name myself that. All right. I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm pumped. I can't wait to talk about it when it comes out.
I think as a fan, it's impossible not to be excited. So
yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
All right. So what? God, we didn't even talk about what our next episode is going to be, because normally we say that. I don't know, man.
Do we even have it planned?
Nope.
I don't remember. Yeah, we don't.
So.
Well, here's the good news. We've got a month to figure it out. So there's so many different topics that we've thrown around, but I don't think we've actually landed on what the next topic will be yet. So
okay, we'll have something for sure. So
There will be an
Sorry.
episode 5. There you go.
Of course. Yeah, no, there definitely will be. I wish we could tell you what it was going to be about. But things have been hectic. I'm finally all moved in. I haven't even thought about it. This
The
is
house
honestly
looks good, by the way. What little
thanks.
bit I can see of it, it looks good.
Thanks. My bookshelf. So yeah.
It looks brighter in there. I don't know. You just have different lighting, I guess, but it looks whiter and brighter.
I took the my ring light and it's sitting over there.
Oh, okay.
It's just
Okay.
coming at me like that, which is why this side's a little bit darker and this side's a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
all right. So we'll come back for episode 5. We'll have something and it'll be fun. Promise. So you got anything you want to plug in the meantime?
I am working on another podcast. I almost said third, but it's really kind of just another one. I don't do Jab anymore. So it's actually a podcast with Amy and I. Amy is my wife. We used to do some side quests and some regular filler episodes for the Jabcast, and we had a lot of fun with it. And she's been craving doing that again, and it only seemed fitting because she's been into gaming a lot more lately. In fact, I just bought her the Animal Crossing Switch today, so she could play Ni no Kuni. She's still playing that, and yeah, so she's all excited and really wanting to talk about her experience with that game and other games. And so we recorded our first episode actually last night. We don't have a name yet, and I don't have a launch date yet. I want to get another episode recorded before we actually launch it. So stay tuned for that.
Cool. Anybody who watched or listened to your old the Jab G cast was I mean, whether it was you or Ryan, whether it was you and Ryan or you and Amy, it was always fun to listen to. So I have no doubt this will be a good time. So I'm excited to see what you guys do.
Well, and also, like, to me, it's fun because, you and I can have conversations that are different from what Amy and I have. Like,
Sure.
You and I have kind of that seasoned veteran, I guess, take. We like the similar types of games, and we can have good conversation about the games that we enjoy. Whereas Amy and I have kind of a different take. She plays different games than I do generally, and so it's kind of fun to have that discussion. Two different kinds of discussions, I should say. So I'm excited for it.
Cool. Well, we'll be sure to be on the lookout for that, and we'll you follow us on Twitter, and you'll
yeah, definitely.
I'm sure you'll see links to that. So
yeah, follow me at Birdazoid, BIRDAZOID, and I'll definitely post up there when we launch that thing.
Were you about to spell it with an AT?
I was. What about you, JJ? Or J? I can't talk tonight, man. I'm sorry, JJ.
I'm in the new place, and so I've got videos on the horizon. Super excited. Game Room Revival. If you're not already watching here, check it out. I want to apologize because my camera, I'm going to assume this is probably going to show up on the recording, but my camera seems to be conking out a little bit. And it's like blinking.
I couldn't tell if that was the internet connection or the camera. Yeah,
no, I think it's weird. The camera. So it's because it wasn't doing this in the beginning, and I just started doing it, and the camera's been kind of goofy with lighting and stuff recently too. So I apologize for that, and I will try to do something about that before next time. But Game Room Revival, check me out at JJ Santanello on Twitter, JJ SANTANIELLO. Other than that, go play Final Fantasy VII. Check out the remake. Demo's free. Go try that too. So
yes.
By all means, it's a great game. A lot of history there, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful part of gaming culture. So really, really excited to see what they do with the new one, and especially the other parts that are coming out later on. So
absolutely, yeah.
With that, this is the Pixel Perspective signing off. My name is JJ.
I'm Adrian,
and as always, keep on gaming.
On gaming.